Добре дошли в новия епизод на нашия подкаст. С вас е Ива и днес наш гост е Бьорн, нашия помощник учител от САЩ в гимназията. Последвайте ни, се абонирайте, попълнете анкетата, ако искате да бъдете наши гости и преминаваме направо към разговора. Okay, so can you start with a brief explanation of who you are?
I am originally from St. Paul, Minnesota. That's very far north in the United States. It's basically right near the Canadian border. And when I was very young, I moved to Kansas City, Missouri, which is more in the very center of the United States, a little bit further south. Then I went on to go to college in Boston. I went to Boston College. I studied international relations, as well as East European studies for my minor. And here I am as a Fulbright. I'm part of a Fulbright program. It's essentially a program where the United States pays about 30 people to go to Bulgaria and teach in different parts of the country. And so I am placed here in Smolyan, and now obviously I am a teacher at Ivan Vasov.
Texting or talking?
It depends. I think probably mostly texting. I think I'm like a lot of our generation where I don't really want to talk on the phone unless I absolutely have to. If it's someone I know really well and I want to get it done, I'll talk. But texting's nice.
What did you eat for dinner last night?
I'm not proud of this.
Why?
I had a great lunch. All right, I had a great lunch, and then I was way too lazy to cook dinner, so it was one of those terrible nights where I just got a carton of yogurt and some Doritos. Last night, no.
What is your favorite day of the week?
Honestly, maybe Thursday. I feel like Thursday is like Christmas Eve, and Friday is Christmas. So Thursday is almost better than Friday because I just get excited that Friday's almost there.
What's the best age?
The best age, honestly, I feel like the best age is probably 33. Here's why. Being a teenager is nice, but you don't have enough independence. Being in your 20s sounds really good, but once you get there, it's actually surprisingly pretty stressful. You're not paid very much. In the US, at least, you have a lot of loans to pay off. And you're too young to understand how the world works yet, but you're also too old to have anyone else help you. So you're kind of figuring it out for the first time. I feel like when you're 33, you're still kind of young, and you have like money and stability, you know, and maturity, and you have things figured out, and you can enjoy them because you're still young enough to enjoy them.
Junk food to define as your favorite?
Oh, that's so hard. Maybe a cinnamon roll. I really like cinnamon rolls. I like cinnamon. Anything with cinnamon in it is a winner.
Yeah, I like those too.
Yeah,
they're good.
They're really good.
Cake or pie?
Oh, pie. Easy.
Oh, really?
Pie. I think cake is overrated. Pie is one of the best things ever.
Okay, so favorite ice cream flavor?
Favorite ice cream flavor is probably, you know, it's pretty lame, but I actually really like vanilla.
Oh.
I do. I like all different types of ice cream, but if I'm just going to order some ice cream, if it's really good vanilla, it beats everything else. But it has to be the legit stuff.
Okay, what is your favorite number you can think of?
13. I like 13 because everyone hates 13, but I was born on the 13th.
Oh, yeah.
So I like that it's an unlucky number, but for me it's a lucky number. So I like 13.
Okay, I'm not quite sure if you believe in these things, but what is your star sign?
I'm an Aries.
And how do you feel about that?
You know, I don't really understand astrology too much. I apparently am like a Scorpio moon, whatever that means. So my friends explained to me that like that makes more sense than being just an Aries. Don't know what it means, but I don't relate to being an Aries. I'm not very angry. I'm not short-tempered. It's not really me. Yeah.
But you seem like an Aries.
I seem like it. And how? How so?
I don't know. It's just about your personality, like the way you look, and the way you speak.
Yeah.
Just your actions.
Just like very dramatic, or what is it?
You're kind of serious.
Serious. Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
I'm pretty much good at guessing people's star signs. actually.
Do you believe in that kind of stuff?
Kinda.
Kind of. Why kind of?
I don't know. It just sounds too good to be true for me.
Yeah. It seems. What star sign are you?
Gemini.
And you feel like you relate to being a Gemini.
I'm 100% Gemini.
Interesting.
If you could ask God one question, what would it be?
Oh my God. If I could ask God one question?
Okay, that's pretty hard.
That's really hard, but let me think. I mean, I can try to. If I were to ask God one question, I think it's pretty obvious. I think everyone would ask the same question, just why?
Yeah.
You know? I mean, we want to understand why.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's hard to say, what would you ask God? What question would you ask? Because I think when I imagine having a conversation with God, if that does actually happen, right? I imagine just a conversation, not just one question. Like, I imagine really sitting there and asking and asking and asking and asking and, going back and forth, so.
Have you ever tasted soap?
Yeah, of course I've tasted soap. You've never tasted soap?
I did.
Like, intentionally? Did you mean to taste the soap?
Oh, no.
Yeah, exactly.
It just fell in my mouth.
Yeah, you're like taking a shower.
Yeah.
And it just falls in.
Yeah.
It doesn't taste great. I won't lie.
It's awful.
It is pretty bad, yeah.
Are dogs people?
Are dogs people? Okay, listen. I love dogs. What people need to understand is I love dogs.
Oh.
But I hate when people treat their dogs like babies. Like, I've seen people walk around with strollers, and they have their, like, chihuahua in the stroller. And it's just, you can't, dogs are cute. We should love dogs with all of our hearts. They're not babies. So, no, dogs are not people.
That's an animal.
Yeah, when people are like, my dog's my son. I'm like, no.
It's your dog. Exactly. Dark chocolate or milk chocolate?
I'm going to break the question. I'm going to say white chocolate. I know this is unpopular.
That's not chocolate, technically.
It's not. I've heard it's not technically chocolate. Mm-hmm. It's like the cocoa butter, right?
Yeah. Like powder thing.
It is. It's like the leftover, like, when they use the cocoa beans, they, like, use the leftover oils to make white chocolate. But I do really like it. But if it's between those two, I'm going to say milk chocolate. Yeah.
Are tomatoes a fruit or a vegetable?
Listen, I understand that it's supposed to be a fruit, but let's be honest, tomatoes are a vegetable.
Oh.
They're healthy in the same way a vegetable is.
Wow.
And you mix them with other vegetables.
Yeah. So, what was the process of you coming to teaching here?
Yeah, do you want to know, like, the technical process? Do you want to know why I chose to come here?
Yeah, both.
Both. Okay. Well, I can start from the very beginning. I can say that when I was really young, right, I grew up with a mom who was an immigrant from Bulgaria, right? So I always heard Bulgarian in the home. I went back and forth to Bulgaria all of my life, to Varna. That's where my family still lives. And so Bulgaria has always been very special to me. I would come here every summer, especially in Varna. I would just play in the sea garden. My grandparents lived with me half of the year in the U.S., so Bulgarian was spoken in my home. My dad doesn't speak it. I didn't speak really anything, but when I grew up, I heard a lot. So I can understand a fair amount of Bulgarian, and I can speak a decent amount to survive day to day.
Yeah.
I can't have philosophical conversations like this, but of course that's why I'm working on it.
Yeah.
And so, like I said, Bulgaria's always had a very special place in my heart. So as I went to school and studied international relations, I became really interested in the politics of the Balkans. So again, you have that connection from my family, and then you have kind of the academic interest in Bulgaria. So when I finished school, the way Fulbright works, mostly seniors, which are like the last year in university, get to apply for a Fulbright. And so what a Fulbright is it's a government scholarship that a bunch of people compete to get to live anywhere in the world. So you get to choose what country you want to try to apply to. So obviously, I thought, well, I've lived in Bulgaria for like 1 or 2 months with my family, but I want to live on my own in Bulgaria, have my own story here, and experience life there. So I chose Bulgaria. And the way it works is you first have to interview. It's very, very competitive. It's actually pretty prestigious in the United States. Ooh. So in the United States, we take about 5 Bulgarians and we put them in United States American colleges for free. So 5 Bulgarians get to go to college in the United States for free, and then about 25 Americans go to Bulgaria to teach. Mm-hmm. So we take Bulgarian students and we give American teachers. So it started off, first you have to interview with your university. Your university, you get sat down with 5 professors who understand the region, mm-hmm. and they just interview you, quiz you about the knowledge of the region, about the knowledge of Bulgaria, things like that. The education system, so you have to understand all these things. If you make it past that stage, then your university says, okay, we will send your application to the US government. So then there's a group of people in the US government who read all of the applications and decide if your application then goes to the Bulgarian Commission. And then there's 4 or 5 Bulgarians who live here year-round who choose which of those people they want to teach in Bulgaria. Mm-hmm. So you go through your university, then you go to the government, and then you go to a commission in Bulgaria. And then finally, they just kind of place you in different cities. I assume kind of randomly. I'm not entirely sure. Yeah.
Do you like Smolyan?
I really do. You know, most of my experience in Bulgaria was in Varna, mm-hmm. which is a bigger city. It's on the sea.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm a pretty big city person, so I will say this is one thing I struggle with in Smolyan. And I think this is in all of Bulgaria, but a lot of the young people leave. And there's a lot of young people leaving Sofia and Varna, obviously, when they get old enough. But even more young people leave Smolyan, right? So it's basically high schoolers here and then people in their, 30s or older.
Yeah.
So most of the 20-year-olds, I've met a few people here and, you get talking, but most of them are outside of town. So that part is tough. But otherwise, Smolyan's beautiful. Mm-hmm. Absolutely stunning. And I will say, out of all Bulgaria, Bulgarians are pretty friendly. They're very hospitable. Mm-hmm. But I would say the people in the Rhodope are the nicest. Mm-hmm. And the most relaxed and laid back.
Yeah.
Way more than even people... you would think people at the beach would be relaxed. But it really is. It's the people in the mountains who are the most chill here. I mean, they're really... I just have, slow, comfortable conversations with people... Super non-judgmental. That has been the best thing, actually, about being in Smolyan.
Yeah.
In the U.S., if I'm walking down a sidewalk and I need to hurry, mm-hmm. people will move out of the way. They're like, oh, I'm so sorry. Let me get out of your way. Here, I will walk behind in, old lady for ages. There's no way to get around her. Or people will walk towards you, mm-hmm. and they don't move for you. They just walk right up to you until someone decides at the last minute to move to the side. That to me is one of the funniest things about the relaxed culture here is that no one has anywhere to be, but when you have somewhere to be, it's you can't get around them. Yeah.
What is something hilarious that happened to you in our region?
I can think of... There was one situation where it was on the way to Smolyan from Plovdiv, and I was on this bus, and the buses have been hilarious to me, all right? We're on the bus halfway from Plovdiv to Smolyan, and the bus breaks down. Well, it's not breaking down yet. We're stopping, and then the bus driver gets out and pours water into somewhere in the front of the trunk, the engine. Mm-hmm. And then he puts the lid back on, and then he keeps driving. Then 10 minutes later, he stops the bus, opens the engine, puts something in it, keeps driving. And then eventually we basically really slowly roll down the hill to Foina. Oh. And he pulls over, and I'm the only one on the bus to Smolyan. I think everyone else is going to Zlatograd or something like this. Yeah. And the bus driver says to me, he's like, listen, you're the only one going to Smolyan. I really need to fix the engine, but I don't want to have to drive all the way to Smolyan now. I want to take the shortcut to Zlatograd. So I need you to get off the bus. And I'm like, dude, I have no way of getting home. You need to let me stay on the bus.
Yeah.
He's like, no, I'll get off the bus. So he calls another bus driver for me after I complain a lot.
Yeah.
And eventually another bus driver comes to Vojna, and I have to get on that one.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the strangest thing, and maybe the most frustrating thing that's happened to me.
Oh my God.
This one. Yeah, I was pretty mad. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and that was like, I was only here for a month at that point. So I was like, oh God, is this what it's like? And it's not what it's
the
like.
lucky guy.
Yeah,
in
the lucky guy.
Bulgaria.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
But it makes a good story, right?
What about your experience with teaching?
I was in high school probably 7 years ago. I was in high school. So to you guys that seems like a long time.
Oh yeah.
For me that's not that long, right? So high school I was very confident. I think most high schoolers are, right? Like, I thought I understood everything about the world. And I thought I was like a full-on adult. And high schoolers really are. I mean, high schoolers are mature enough and they're getting to that point in their life where they can be independent and can be adults. Mm-hmm. But I will say, as I kind of reached, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, right? I started realizing how little I did know about the world.
Oh, yeah.
And so what's been the most interesting thing about working with high schoolers is I feel the same as I did in high school. Mm-hmm. But when you see what high schoolers are doing, what they're talking about, what they're up to, what they're concerned about, you realize that there is a difference. And I don't mean this in a negative way, actually. Mm-hmm. I mean to say this in almost kind of an exciting way, that in life, there's always more to learn. And in high school, you feel like, especially 12th graders, and I understand how you guys are feeling, like I was done.
Oh, yeah.
You feel like, oh my God, it's too much learning. I don't want to do anymore. Like, I'm finished. Please, God, get me out of here. But what I can say is there's something really beautiful and exciting about not just learning in school, but when you graduate high school, what you learn about life. Mm-hmm. And so that's really been the most interesting thing about working here, is seeing how much I've learned compared to just 7 years ago when I was in high school.
Oh, yeah.
Otherwise, though, I mean, working with high schoolers is hilarious most of the time. Like, high schoolers are really funny.
Yeah.
They have time to make jokes, like it's hard to sit in school for 8 straight hours a day, right? Yeah. So you have to make it fun. You have to make it funny. You have to make it exciting. And so every class, I always find something to laugh at. And I also think that there's something really nice about how caring young people are. I think especially Bulgarians.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I really think so. Like, working with young Bulgarians are very affectionate, very sweet, very kind. Like, even compared to the United States, men and women, generally speaking, for the most part, like, women are a little bit sweeter, more than teenage boys.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But even here, like, even those, like, guy dudes will be very sweet and affectionate and kind to their teachers when it really matters. And so, especially working with young students in Bulgaria, that has been a really wonderful thing. Well, and that's one of the best things and the hardest things I remember about high school, is that you might change a lot every year, and everyone does, but since people have known you almost your whole life, they're going to view you how they've always viewed you. Yeah. And I think that's probably the most challenging part of high school, is if you change as a person, it's hard to be known for the new you when people still know you for the old you.
I agree.
People always ask, like, when are you peaking? When do you peak? Mm-hmm. And I don't think you ever peak. I think every stage in life has something awesome about it that the stage before it couldn't have. Yeah. And high school definitely has some of those things, like you say, the safety. It's kind of relaxed. It's more laid back.
It is.
Compared to the rest of life. But there is something really nice about going out there, whether you're going to college and learning things that you really, really care about, rather than having to take all these classes that you might not find as interesting. Mm-hmm. Or even working and starting to make your own money and feeling like, wow, I can live in my own apartment and I can have my own paycheck and I'm buying my own groceries. That's a really good feeling.
Yeah. Everybody wants to be independent.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you feel about leaving soon?
That's hard. I'm genuinely sad about it. I'm very nostalgic, especially now when the trees are green again, springtime. I keep thinking about when I got here at the beginning of the year because it feels very similar.
Yeah.
At the beginning of the year, I was taking all these hikes, looking at all these different things around Smolyan, just loving how beautiful and stunning it is here. It's funny because during the winter, I was so tired of winter. I was like, oh, I'm ready to go. Like, get me to a place that's warm, get me out, you know? And now that it's warm again, it's like I remembered what I loved so much about Smolyan. And yeah, it's sad. Like I am ready, but only because I know, like you, with high school, I know that there's other things ahead of me that are really exciting. Yeah. But I am going to miss the people. I am going to miss the school, laughing with the students every day. I'm going to miss the other teachers I work with, you know. It's been a really amazing experience. And again, you know, very special to me because this is the first year that I've lived in Bulgaria as my own person, right? I'm not living here with my family. Yeah. I'm not just with mom and dad the whole time. I'm living my own life. And so it's been an experience that I know I'll look back on and think about a lot for the rest of my life. And that's formed me a lot as a person. And also thinking about my own identity as being half American, half Bulgarian. Yeah. Right? This year has been more important for that than any other year in my life. Oh, yeah. I mean, even with my broken Bulgarian, like talking to like people at the cafe or taxi drivers or people just having conversations in the bus, even though my Bulgarian's falling apart and I have an accent and I'm figuring things out and I haven't lived here my whole life, what's really beautiful is that people here will say, doesn't matter, you are Bulgarian, you are one of us, and we want you to come back here. Yeah. We want you to live here. People love that I chose to teach here. It's special to them, especially when a lot of young people are leaving, to have young people come back. So, yeah, how do I feel about leaving? Sad, but ready for the next stage because I know that whatever my mission in life is, you know, I love teachers. I admire them. It's not my mission, right? Yeah. But I'm so glad that I did it.
What are your future plans?
My future plans. So right now, next year, so I knew before I even came here that I was going to go to graduate school to get a master's degree. So before I even came here, I knew I was going to university again next year. Yeah. So I'm going to Columbia University in New York City, and I'm studying East European Studies. Oh. So like I said earlier, I'm focusing more deeply on Eastern Europe. Oh, yeah. And then after that, there's a big question. You know, I've thought about doing a lot of different things in life before I even, you know, finished college. I thought I knew exactly what I wanted to do. Yeah. I thought I wanted to be a diplomat, like work for the government around the world. But I found out that that's not as interesting to me as maybe humanitarian work. So I'm really interested in working for the United Nations somehow. But I doubt that's where I'm going to start. There's probably so many jobs that I don't even know that exist out there. But something in international relations, peacekeeping, things like that are very interesting to me. Yeah. Hopefully in the Balkans. I mean, I really do want to work on something in the Balkans. And there's a lot of important work to do here. I mean, even if you look at Bosnia and the conflict that still remains between Bosniaks and Bosnians, it's that kind of ethnic tension and conflict that I study and that I think is very interesting and that I want to work with.
Oh, yeah. So you're going to be part of the Ivy League.
I will. I guess so. Yeah, I guess somehow I'm part of the Ivy League. It doesn't, you know, it doesn't feel that different, really. I mean, it was interesting to hear where these students are coming from when I met my class. Yeah. They're like, oh, I went to school before I came here at Harvard and Princeton and Yale or whatever. And I'm just like, I went to Boston College. Yeah.
You was cool there.
Yeah, so, I mean, but really it's not that different, right? Like, I have several friends now who go to Harvard, and they are just normal people. It's always really funny to me here, too, because I see Harvard shirts in Bulgaria everywhere.
Oh,
like
yeah.
H&M sells Harvard shirts.
Yeah.
And to me, that's hilarious because I lived next to Harvard for 4 years. It was no big deal. I was always on Harvard's campus. I was biking through this, that, and the other thing. And it's just normal people who work really hard and care a lot about what they do. And I'm sure if a lot of students here really, really worked at it, they could easily do it. It's possible. Like when I never thought as a kid, even in the United States, that I could go to an Ivy League.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
But truly, like, even if it's 1% of the population in the United States, it's just a matter of how much you care and how much work you're able to put into it. Mm-hmm. And granted, like in high school and college, I would spend like 80 hours a week, truly 80 hours a week, studying, working, and going to classes. Yeah. And so, it is insane amounts of work, but if it's something you're passionate about, that won't hold you back from doing it. Yeah. It really won't. Oh, yeah. You will do something in your life that you thought you wouldn't be able to do that you won't be proud of.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone will. And so acknowledging it, being aware of it, and moving on and being better about it is the most important thing.
Okay, apparently we're almost there. So what is something that you can give as a piece of advice to the younger people listening to this?
Yeah, I think the biggest piece of advice I could give is to always know what you don't know. The wisest people I have met in my entire life are always the people who know how little they know about the world. Mm-hmm. If you are confident enough to feel like that you can win every argument, every debate with any person you come to, the fact is, ironically, you're probably wrong a lot of the time. Yeah. But the people who can go into a conversation and be ready to be told they're wrong and learn from it. Yeah. Which is a lot harder than it sounds.
Oh, yeah. And apologize if needed.
And even admit that they're wrong.
Oh, yeah.
Or if you're asked a question, I think the most impressive thing anyone can ever say if they're asked a question is, to be honest, I don't know enough about that to answer it.
Oh, yeah.
If you start doing that, the things that you learn are uncomparable to how good it would feel to win those arguments in the first place. Mm-hmm. And that's something that I took with me when I actually graduated high school. I met someone in college who I asked a question. I felt like, oh, I'm in college now, I must know a lot. I just started talking to them.
Oh, yeah.
And it was about politics.
Oh.
And I asked a question about politics, and he goes, you know what? Honestly, I don't know. And I didn't think he was an idiot. I actually felt like he was more intelligent than the people who answered that they knew everything. So
because he asks you.
He asks you, not even asks me, like...
He's interested in
He's interested in learning, and it shows he's actually willing to learn.
Yeah.
And in the end, that person will be far more useful to the world than someone who just wants to be right all the time.
Oh, yeah.
So the biggest piece of advice is not even being humble. The biggest piece of advice I can say is always be willing to be wrong and to learn why you were wrong.
Oh, yeah.
Always be willing to do that.
Oh, yeah. You can learn something from everyone pretty much.
Yeah. Even people who we think are the worst people out there.
Oh, yeah.
Like in one of my college courses, we had someone who actually was in jail for murder. He's in jail for murder, and
that's tough.
It's tough, right? But he actually came to the class and spoke.
Oh, really?
And even from someone who could think, oh, they're a scumbag, they're a terrible person, I never want to talk to someone that horrible.
Yeah.
Even though he did horrible things, we were able to learn from him because of his experiences. Yeah, exactly. Why he did those things, what he regretted, what he's learned, and you can learn from that. Yeah. So every single person you talk to has value. Every single person.
Oh, yeah.
Even someone you might think is evil has value.
Oh, yeah. Usually evil people are smart in a way.
They're usually very intelligent, and if not, at least you can learn from the mistakes they've made. But you have to listen to them and have some amount of respect for them as a human being to learn from them.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean you have to admire them.
Oh, of course.
Of course not, right? But you have to respect them at least a little bit to learn from them. That's something hard to do as well. Respecting people who you think are bad or evil.
Oh, yeah.
Finding some way to respect them is important.
Това е краят на нашия подкаст. До следващия път.